So it's Thursday, April the 5th, and I didn't plan on riding my first 400 of the year until later in the month or even in May. So why is that? Well, combination of things really. I was going to start riding 300s in April, and once I felt comfortable with them I was going to then up the game to 400, but I really do believe in not sticking to plans too rigidly. It can send you down dead ends. It just feels right. I feel ready to do my first 400. Only a few weeks back, when in the depths of winter, I'd finish a 200 and think, could I or would I want to ride another 200 now? Almost certainly not. But you know, lo and behold, within a matter of weeks, I feel ready. Also, over the Easter weekend, I was at home. We had commitments. I wasn't able to get out, but every now and again I'd be following friends of mine on the internet. Some of my friends from Bristol are doing a 2,000-kilometre DIY in Spain and France. Other friends did a York Arrow, which they had to abandon at Grantham because of the horrendous weather conditions. And one of my favourite YouTubers, a mate of mine from Bristol, Adam Watkins, did an Easter 600, and yes, that inspired me as well. And I guess finally I've got some new equipment that I want to and need to test out really. So I've got my new Super C saddlebag on today, and I've got my sleep system in it, which I really want to try out. So today's ride is a sortie over into Wales, and then I've got a 28-hour and 2-minute time allowance, and I don't want to be getting home at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. That'd interrupt my wife's sleep. So the plan is to ride until either 200 or around about the 210 mile mark, and then have a few hours sleep in a bus shelter, and then finish at a much more sociable time for her and for me tomorrow morning, using up as much of the time allowance as I can really. I always like to keep about an hour in hand. So a bit more about the route later. My next stop is Tewkesbury for breakfast at Wetherspoons. I'm now in the garden of the Royal Hop Pole in Tewkesbury. So I got here about 9:30, popped inside, had a big breakfast. Hopefully that keep me going most of the day. You can see the amount of rainfall we've had recently. There's water flooding right behind the pub garden. That's the River Severn over there, burst its banks. You can see the moorlands in the distance. It's now mid-morning and I'm in the middle of Herefordshire. I'm on the road between Newent and Ross-on-Wye. So let me explain a bit about the route. So the route passes through Llanertred Wells, claimed to be the smallest town in Britain, although Frodsham, I think that's what it's called, I'll confirm one way or the other below, in Kent, is said to have a smaller population. So the route is a sortie into Wales. So I've done my first section from Bath up to Tewkesbury, where I headed due west. And I'm now doing quite a long stretch over to Llandovery, pass through Newent, soon be going through Ross-on-Wye, then Hay-on-Wye, Builth Wells, which is about the halfway point. Then after that it starts heading southwestish down to Llandovery. That's quite a long stretch. Audax riders on the Bivvy Cymru will be familiar with that stretch. It's quite a grind actually between Builth Wells and Llandovery. Llandovery is going to be about the 150 mile mark, and I should be there late afternoon, early evening, which is where I plan to get my second meal. So this is a map of the route. So you'll see the 2 yellow balloons are my planned eating locations. On the right was Tewkesbury, and on the left is going to be Llandovery. Then after tea I'll be riding into the evening and the dark, and round about midnight, 1 o'clock, I intend to sleep. I've got a couple of ideas where I may sleep, and I'm going to try out some new equipment, so more about that later on. So you'll notice I'm wearing glasses today. I normally wear contact lenses, but they're just too much of a problem when I want to sleep. So these are really cheap transition lenses. They're prescription glasses from Specsavers. The lenses darken in the sun and then they lighten up when it gets dark, so they're absolutely ideal for this type of ride. Look at that for a quid, absolute bargain. So it's 3:30 now, in the heart of the Black Mountains, just passed through Hay-on-Wye. I'm taking a B road that runs parallel to the River Usk. It looks very flooded on my left, and if you look over there you can see the peaks of the Black Mountains still got some snow up the top. So the main road up to Builth Wells runs the other side of the Usk. We're going to be staying this side on a B road, and in a few miles time it incorporates a bit of an old railway. You really do feel like you're riding along an old rail bed. You eventually come to the old Irwood station, which has been converted into a cafe and an art centre. Then it's a few undulating miles into Builth Wells, which will be just past halfway. So here we are on the road between Builth Wells and Llandovery. I'm just coming into Llanurtrid Wells. So it's always a hard stretch along here, and that includes the day. I keep setting myself little goals, so this is the first one, and in about 10 miles I'll be less than 100 miles to go, and that's always a really big psychological boost. And then about 3 miles after that I'll be coming into Llandovery for my second food stop. I'll get some hot food before the night section. So 3 goals, bang bang bang, and they really do work for me. And 99 miles to go. Here we are then, West End Cafe. So beans on toast here, going overboard on the caffeine actually, black coffee. There's quite a lot of caffeine in that fizzy drink as well. It's a great little place this. Couldn't resist it, some apple crumble heated up and some ice cream as well. So it's coming up to 8 PM, I'm just about to leave the West End Cafe. So maybe just a little bit about my lighting actually. So on the front I'm running a dynamo off an old Star Schmidt hub, probably about 20 years old that. And that is an old halogen light which I've just adapted. I've modernised it by just putting in an LED bulb. You can pick them up on eBay for about 10 or 12 quid. I've got a couple actually. As my backup, I've got a head torch which I use for the bivvy later on, and also it's a backup in case that fails, and also when I'm grinding up hills sometimes the dynamo doesn't give out much light, so and on really dark roads it's nice to have that second light. On the back I've got this cat eye, very very powerful. It's got 3 modes, constant and 2 types of flashing. I've normally put that one on flash. It runs off 2 AAA batteries, and I carry AAA batteries as spares in this light stick here, and that also backs up as a second light. When I'm riding through busy lit up areas I'll quite often put that on, but that's just, again, it's a backup in case that other one fails. It's also got 2 AAA batteries in there, so if the batteries in that run out I've got spares there. Well, it's 11 PM now and the tiredness is starting to kick in. I'm guessing I'm going to want to sleep in the next 2 or 3 hours. The plan has always been to sleep the coldest, darkest part of the night, so I'll try and eke it out to 2 o'clock maybe, then set the alarm for 3:30, try and be on the road for 4. I may just have to sleep before that, we'll see how it goes. Well, it's 5 AM now and I've been on the road 24 hours exactly. I'm just sheltering in the bus shelter at the very summit of the climb between Usk and Chepstow. Just stopped here to have a quick sandwich, give my Garmin a final charge, and also put on my rain mac, because there's been quite a cold southeasterly in my face all evening and all night, and now it's starting to pick up and I think it's going to be quite cold descending. So about 35 miles to go. From Talibon onwards I was really getting the dozies, so I was hoping to ride to 2 AM and then sleep, but I ended up bunking up about 1:45 in a bus shelter. I got about an hour and a half sleep, and the combination I was using was my sole Escape Lite bivvy that I used last year. I'm trying this new Exped sleeping mat that Linda gave me for Christmas, and the reason for that was last year I found a couple of occasions I got cold, and I think that was sleeping on concrete, and also I got quite sore in the night, the pressure points in my head, my shoulders, my hip bone. So the combination of the sleeping mat and the bivvy bag worked really well. So to protect the sleeping mat, 'cause it's inflatable, to avoid it puncturing or scuffing, I bought an old space blanket and just lined that down, and I think that probably helped insulate me as well. So I actually had quite a good little sleep actually, and I woke up feeling fine.